Good morning, dear students. Yesterday we left Mother Teresa's reading. So, from where we had left, from today I am going to start it, and dear students, you have to follow me properly. So, dear students, now page number 17 and paragraph number 2. One of the four vows taken by her order is poverty. It is to be very strictly observed because to be able to love the poor and to know the poor, we must be poor ourselves. A special vow is giving wholehearted free service to the poor. This vow means that one cannot work for the rich, neither can one accept any money for the work we do. Ours has to be free service and to the poor. Mother Teresa, when did you develop this special interest in the dying? I asked her. It is a vocation, a calling. Nobody wants the dying, the diseased, the sick, and the crippled. I wanted those whom no one wanted, no one loved or cared for. How did it start? I mean, this particular interest in death. I do not remember the exact date, but when I left Loreto in 1948, I saw a woman lying in front of a hospital, half eaten by the rats and maggots. I looked after her till she died. Then the police commissioner gave me this place next to Kali temple. Why did you choose India and why Kolkata? She let a gentle smile come over her face. I was sent here, and I love the people of Kolkata. They have a warmth which you do not see anywhere else. She told me of an experience that made the people of Kolkata so lovable. During the floods last year, I was bringing victims to places of shelter. A lady who had never known me brought me hot food in her car. Where else in the world do you come across people like that? It is obvious that Mother Teresa would have gone to any country with the same unquestioning obedience and worked up the same enthusiasm for the people amongst whom she had to live. Since she was sent to India, she assiduously Indianized herself. Here was the first Catholic order to adopt the Indian sari, the Indian style of sitting cross-legged on the floor in the chapel, eating Indian food in Indian manner. She taught herself Bengali, which she now speaks fluently, and when India became free, she took Indian nationality. I asked her how she got the money to run her worldwide organization. She replied, it comes, money is not great problem. God gives through his people. We have never been short of money. It is more important to get people involved, to make them realize that the sick, old and hungry are their brothers. When you write about me, I hope you will highlight that. When she started her first school in the slums, all she had was ₹5, but as people came to know that she was doing, they brought things and money. It was all divine providence, she said, and narrated some miracles. Once in winter, they ran out of quilts. The nuns found sheets, but there was no cotton to stuff in them. Mother Teresa got her pillow, and just as she was about to rip it open, the bell rang. Somebody who was leaving Kolkata on a posting abroad had come to leave his quilts and mattresses with Mother Teresa. On another occasion, when they had run out of rice, a lady who had never been to them before brought a bag of rice. One of curiosity, they measured the amount of with the tin cup they used for measuring their daily rations. It happened to be exactly that quantity they required. When I told the lady that, she broke down and cried to realize that God had used her as an instrument of his will was too much for her. That afternoon I was with Mother Teresa on a bagging mission. We went to call on the manager of a big biscuit factory. They always give us broken biscuits which they cannot sell as a Christmas gift. The sick like broken biscuit. She informed me Mr. Jyoti Mukherjee, the young manager of the firm, came out to receive her and escorted us to his teak wood panelled air conditioned office. Mother Teresa began by thanking him for what he had done in the past and continued, "You must have a lot of problems. Everything is in short supply flour, butter, sugar." It was evident that Mr. Mukherjee's speech had been taken out of his mouth. Yes, he agreed. We are not producing anything like we did last year. Mother Teresa went on, "It must be more difficult for well-to-do people of the middle class. We poor people can beg, they are too ashamed to beg." I could see Mr. Mukherjee's defense crumble. He looked unhappy with himself. Mother Teresa continued in a gentle tone, "Why are there all these shortages? Why are prices going up? Please tell me. I do not understand politics." Jyoti Mukherjee became expansive and told her of union troubles, strikes and lockouts. "Thanks God," exclaimed Mother Teresa. "We only work for God. There are no unions," she proceeded to elucidate. On the hard times, the other day we picked up a hungry beggar. He had not eaten for many weeks. When we brought him a plate of rice, he said, "I haven't seen rice for many weeks. Let me look at it." And he died staring at the plate full of rice. Mr. Mukherjee picked up his phone and rang up the storekeeper for 40 large tins of broken biscuits to be delivered to Mother Teresa. The people of Kolkata cherish her more than any other Indian. She is called the Angel of Mercy, Saint of the Gutters, the Gentle Mother. She died on September 5, 1997, leaving all the world in tears. So, my dear students, today we have completed the chapter, that is Mother Teresa, in English language reader. Chapter number is 3. So I request you to read it many a times. Okay, have a nice day.